This is Rabbi Ira Grussgott. I've been invited by Rabbis Noah Grodowski and Ronald Price to participate in this series of video presentations that highlight the teachings of our revered Rebbe, Moreno Harav Hagon, Rab David Weiss Halivni Zatzal. And it is my privilege and pleasure to do so. So without further ado, in terms of introduction, let's go straight to the Torah text that will include, hopefully, pshat and drash, meaning the meaning of the text and its message in the spirit of our mentor. V'kidashtem et shnat hachamishim shana, ukrotem dror ba'aretz, l'chol yoshveya, Yovel hi tiyeh lachem v'shaftem ish el achuzato, v'ish el mishpachto, and you shall sanctify the 50th year, and proclaim ye liberty throughout the land and to all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee to you all, and everyone shall return to his possessions and family. Wow. But wait, there's more. Yovel hi, exact same expression. Yovel hi, shnat hachamishim, explaining tiyeh lachem. And here it comes. Lo tizro, v'lo tiktzaru, et tzficheha, lo tivtzaru, et nezareha. Translation, a jubilee shall that 50th year be for you. No sowing, no reaping, no growing, no gathering of grapes whatsoever. But then again, once more, the next verse, Ki yovel hi. Oh, thanks for telling me a third time. Ki yovel hi kodesh tiyeh lachem. Min hasadeh tochlu et tvuata. The English, for it is a jubilee year from the field that yields its produce. You may actually, I think it's translated, you must. You may indeed you must eat from its crop. Now, reading carefully the repetition of the Yovel as repeated 3 times in 3 separate verses yields, I believe, 3 instructions which I can summarize with the 3 R's of return, refrain, and reclaim. At this point, it is at this point that Rav Halivni quotes Rashi, who in turn cites the Talmud, about the when Yovel begins, an interesting debate, Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, which have in common the reference and the practice of shofar. So when does Yovel exactly begin? Don't want to get into that right now at this point, but because before Rab Halivni, the more crucial question indeed is not so much when the Jubilee, when the Yovel begins, but how does it attain and why does it have a special status of Kedusha, sanctification? Can we get a sign? We begin the shofar, how we begin to return, refrain, and claim with the Kedusha remaining its sanctity inviolate. For that, it will take accompanying the sound of the shofar, not just the timing, but the frame of mind that takes and makes a Yovel mit a mitvach. Now, I will try to translate. And here is where I get very personal. Yovel mit a mitvach. Okay, loosely translated, it'll take forever and a day. But what did Rav Halivni mean when he used that expression and when he heard that expression, as I did growing up amongst our shared lineage and history, Hungarian Holocaust survivors of the Holocaust, along with the heritage of the Yiddish life that existed with its expressions that you won't find in the Talmud, but you'll find amongst the Jewish living, where I made the connection with Rav Halivni. Ayovel mit mitvach. When I was first introduced to Rav David Weiss Halivni by my brother-in-law, Rabbi Dr. Professor Gershon Chaim Bacon, I knew at the outset the only way that I was going to be able to make some kind of close connection or even some lasting impression was not through me knowing Shas Baal Peh, the Talmud by heart. But I did feel that I had a chance of connecting him in a very intimate, personal way by reden and lernen, by talking to him, especially in Yiddish, where even the accent was the same. It's a Galiciana Yiddish. When challenging me after we got to know each other, and he kind of took on with some sense of humility my beseeching him, my wanting him to be my Rebbe. So then a Rebbe gives instructions, and he did challenge me, always gently, of course, because he could very well be intimidating, for me at least, but he never would say anything to me in an intimidating fashion. And that was his genius as well. So when he did challenge me gently, because when I felt comfortable enough and honest enough with him to say, but Rebbe, you're telling me I should do this, I got to do that. But you expect me to re-study all of the things that I did 10, 15, 20 years ago and to chazer it over? And how am I going to do it? Set nemen ayovel mit a mitvach. Mit a mitvach, what does that mean? With a Wednesday? With a midweek? Translation, not just forever and a day. What does it mean? And what point do I think Rav Halivni was trying to convey about a yovel and what is referred to as mit a mitvach? This is how I imagine Rav Halivni would have and would still respond. This is what Rav Halivni taught me by personal example. Of course, a Yid, any Jew of any background, has a right to complain, even kvetch and krechts. A Yid, that's his right, maybe even privilege, to kvetch and krechts. But what could be worse? What could be worse is to do nothing, to quote unquote, play it safe to survive. Instead, as Reb Halivni taught us, it's not only a question of survive, but to thrive. As Halivni teaches us all about the Yovel and how it is made holy, how it is sanctified. Yovel, a Kedusha. And in order for liberation to be realized and actualized, and to have its sanctity sustained, it must be declared, proclaimed with affirmation, all of which is represented by the shofar. In other words, a yovel mit a mitvach. What does the mitvach, mid-Wednesday, on Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur? Is it the mitvach in between, before, after? Mitvach is not so much forever and a day. It means basically a jubilee, a sanctity that not so much starts, but is sustained and prepared with anticipation, with a feeling of anticipation in advance, plus patience and participation that follows. I hope and pray that the Rav's memory and merit, we in turn get to that time and place and mindset that fulfills the Jubilee's promise, so that mitayovel mitamitvach, with both anticipation and patience, will lead that Jubilee to the period of liberation and redemption. In other words, the Geula Shalema B'mheira B'yameinu V'nomar Amen.